Blazor QuickGrid. In this video, we'll demonstrate how to use a QuickGrid to display, sort, add, edit, delete, and page through a list of items. We're using a standard Blazor web app with server render mode and per page or component interactivity. To demonstrate the QuickGrid, we'll add a new Razor component to the Pages folder. And turn it into a page component with interactive server render mode. We also copy one of the links in navmenu.razor and point it to our new grid demo page. To use the QuickGrid, we need to install the QuickGrid package through NuGet. Make sure the version corresponds to the .NET version of your project. With that installed, we can add the using statement to our grid demo page. We also need a model for our grid to work with, so add a models folder to the project and add a class. We'll add a person class. It will have an ID and a name property. And we'll use a date-only type for the date of birth property. In the grid demo page, add a using statement to point to the models folder. In the code section, we create a list of person objects. The QuickGrid needs this to be an iQueryable list. The ID count variable will be used later to give us a unique ID when we add more persons to the list. Then, in Blazor's onInitialized method, we call a custom method to return a list of random person objects and turn it into an iQueryable. For now, the ID count is simply initialized to the last person ID we used. Onto the grid. There's a bit of div formatting here just to make it look nicer. Our grid will be in a container row in the body of a card. The grid itself will be a striped table, and more importantly, we set its items attribute to the iQueryable list we want to display. Each column can be set up using the property column tag. Its property will be one of the person object's properties. You can set the heading of the column using the title attribute. When we run this and go to our grid demo link, we get our card container with the grid component we defined. We can make the grid's columns sortable by setting a column sortable attribute to true. Use the isDefaultSortColumn attribute to indicate on which column the grid will automatically be sorted once it loads. Now you can move over a column header and click it to sort the grid ascending or descending. Let's add a computed field to our grid. In our code section, we created a method called computeAge. This takes a date of birth argument and does a standard calculation to calculate the age of a person in years. In the QuickGrid, we add a column for the age. Notice we have to use the @ symbol here because we're accessing our C# method. Other than that, we give it a title and make the column sortable. Before we continue with the grid, let's add a little form at the top of our card layout to add a person to our grid. For this, we'll need a person object. We decorate it with supply parameter from form to indicate this person object will receive its values from the form and not some external source like a string query. Next, we create an addPerson method to add the person to our grid. We do a little validation to check that the person's name and date of birth contain some values. Then we increment our ID count and assign it to the new person's ID property. Since we can't directly add to a queryable enumeration, we first convert it to a list. Then add the person to the list and turn it back into a queryable. The last line simply clears the form with a new person object. In the HTML, we add a card header div. Inside the card header, we have an EditForm that uses our person object as its model, and on submit, it will call our addPerson method. Then we format our label and input fields to be stacked horizontally with a bit of gap between them. We use an input text and input date tag that binds to the person object's name and date of birth properties. At the end, we placed a submit button to fire off the onSubmit event. When we run this, we get our little input form in the card header. But here's something annoying. The date of birth defaults the year 1, month 1, day 1. Let's fix this first. You can either set the default date in your code section when creating a new person object, or set it in the model as shown here. Because it's a date-only property, we need to convert it from date time. Now our default date is fixed. The user can either manually change the date or select it from the calendar. When we click the Submit or Add button, we get the new person in our grid with the correct ID value. Also, notice the form is clear for the next entry. There's another form attribute to look at, the Enhance attribute. This will submit the form without reloading the entire page. But since we're already using interactive render mode, which does this anyways, the Enhance attribute has no effect. Now that we can add to our grid, let's go see how we can delete items. For this, we'll use a template column instead of a property column to set up a custom column. We can still give it a title, in this case, Actions. We add a button and format it as Danger, which will render it as a red button by default. For the onClick event, it calls a deletePerson method, and we pass the current context to it. The context is the current person in the grid. On a side note, remember to use Blazor's onClick event and not the normal click event. Normal click events will fire off immediately when the page is loaded. Down in the code section, we create the deletePerson method, which take the context or current person in the grid as argument. This method turns our queryable into a list and removes all person objects with the ID of the person to be deleted. Then we turn the list back into our queryable for the grid. When we run this, we see our new Delete button, and we can click it to delete people from the grid. To edit a person, we'll use the same form in our card header. But first, let's add the Edit button to our template column. We'll format it to be an Info button, which by default is a cyan color. Just like the Delete button, we'll call an EditPerson method and pass the current person or context to it. In the code section, we added a string that will serve as the text to display on the Add button in our form. The EditPerson method will change the form's person object into the selected person in the grid. So now the form will display the values of the person we clicked Edit on, and we can now change the button's text to Update. In the form, we change the button's text to display the string value, whether it's Add or Update. But the Submit button will still run the addPerson method when clicked. So, in our addPerson method, we need to check if we're adding or updating a person. If the person's ID is bigger or not equal to 0, then we're updating an existing person. First, we turn our queryable into a list and find the index of the person with the matching ID. When we find it, we change the person object at that index to the new person values. Then we change back to a queryable and change the Forms button back to Add. The Else part still contains our existing code to add a new person. And of course, when all is done, we clear the Form's person model. When we run this, we see our new Edit button in the Actions column. Let's go edit one of the people. The person's details are displayed in the form, and our Add button changed to an Update button. When we click the Update button, the person's details are updated. The form is cleared and returned to an add form. We're missing something in our form. What if we want to cancel an add or update process? Luckily, the way we set things up, it's only 2 lines of code. We add a normal button to the form and format it as secondary. Then, the onClick event will execute 2 lines of C#. It clears the person model and changes the submit button's text back to add. Our new cancel button is shown. When we edit a person and decide to cancel the process, we can click the Cancel button. The form's model is cleared, and the Update button changes back to an Add button. Before we continue on to search, filtering, and paging, let's optimize our code a bit. Because we're not using a database, we need somewhere to store our original people list. Here we've added a normal list of person objects. Then in the onInitialized method, we load the data into this list before passing it to the queryable for the grid. In our add method, we no longer have to pass the queryable back to a list since we're changing the original list directly. The same with the delete method. And there are no changes to the edit method since it uses the add method anyways. Now we'll just check if everything is still working. On to search and filtering. In the QuickGrid, we're going to change our person name column by adding some column options to it. In here, we added a standard search input with some formatting and placeholder. It binds the search value to a name filter variable in our code. Then, instead of handling the onChange event, we're going to handle the onKeyUp event. We want to wait for the user to press the Enter key before applying the filter. In the code section, we created the string variable to hold the name filter value from the input box. The KeyUpHandle event will wait for the Enter key before applying the search filter to the person name. The method we created here to filter the list checks if the filter value is not null or empty, then performs a link where on the full people list to find any person name that contains the filter value. For the string comparison, we used ordinal ignore case, which is a binary comparison. You may choose to use a culture ignore case if you prefer. Then, at the end, we convert this into our queryable for the grid to display. Else, if the filter is empty, we revert the queryable back to the full people list. Let's try this. The name column now has a column options icon next to it. It is still sortable. When we click the options icon, we see our input search box. We'll enter J. It doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase since we're ignoring case anyways. Our grid now only shows names that contains a J. If we go back to the search, clear it, and press Enter, we get back to our full list of people, just going back to the J names. What happens when I add another person with a J in the name? Now it goes back to showing the entire list of people. We can easily fix this to keep the filter setting. So what we wanted the grid to display after adding James was this. In our add person method, after updating or adding a new person, we reapply our filter. We do the same in the delete person method. Now with our filter set to names with a J in it, we can add another JName person, and the filter stays intact. The same when we delete people from our list. For the final part of this video, we'll demonstrate how to add paging to your QuickGrid. This is actually very easy. First, we add a pagination object to our code. This will do all the work of keeping track of the page's status. Whether you add, delete, sort, or filter, the paginator will automatically correct itself accordingly. Then in the QuickGrid, we set the pagination attribute to our new pagination state object. Now, to give the user the paging controls, we added a card footer div. In here, we display the paginator's state. The paginator will display the total number of items and controls to move along the pages. We can add a new person. The paginator status is updated. When we filter our list, the paginator adjusts accordingly. The same when we delete a person from our list. Thank you for watching our video. For more tutorials on C#, hit subscribe and click the reminder. Give us a like so the video can be visible to more people.